Okay. Why is this offline? This is so weird. Oh my goodness. I really sincerely hope that this works. Okay. Did the other one finally finish? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be now, or is everything still wonky and screwed up? Let's find out. Uh, s- Huge thanks to Fishy for sticking it out. I'm really sorry. I don't know what was going on with the chat, but I guess it was just like taking forever to load before. So if anyone wants to ask any questions or make any silly comments, please feel free to do so. I will respond as soon as they pop up. But again, my apologies for the technical difficulties. I think we're like halfway into chapter 20. No, we've really only got a page and a half left in chapter 20. So it's just going to last a few minutes. Hopefully the other one loads all right and there aren't any issues, but if worst case comes to it, I'll just go back and reread a few chapters. Um, so again, thank you so much for your patience. And I'm really sorry that the chat just was not working at all previously. But you are always welcome to ask me questions or just say whatever you'd like in there. So we were on page 154. Um, they had just came to Mr. Sykes' house, and the girl was still grabbing onto Oliver's hand in a death grip as she um, led him in to speak with Mr. Sykes, which he really didn't want to do. So while he hesitated, the opportunity was gone, for he was already in the house and the door was shut. "This way," said the girl, releasing her hold for the first time. "Bill!" "Hello," replied Sykes, appearing from the head of the stairs with a candle. "Oh, that's the time of day. Come on." This was a very strong expression of approbation, an uncommonly hearty welcome from a person of Mr. Sykes' temperament. Nancy, appearing much gratified thereby, saluted him cordially. "Boys always going home with Tom," observed Mr. Sykes as he lighted them up. "He'd have been in the way." "He's right," rejoined Nancy. "So you've got the kid," said Sykes when they had all reached the room, closing the door as he spoke. "Yes, here he is," replied Nancy. "Do you come quiet?" inquired Sykes. "You're a yam," said Nancy. "I'm glad to hear it," said Sykes, looking grimly at Oliver for the sake of his young carcass, as would otherwise have suffered for it. "Come here, young un, let me read you a lecture which is as well got over once." Thus addressing his new pupil. Ooh, D-Dubs is doing a Donkey Kong stream. I'm going to be popping over there as soon as I'm done. But thus addressing his new pupil, Mr. Sykes pulled off Oliver's cap and threw it into the corner, and then, taking him by the shoulders, sat him down by the table and stood the boy in front of him. "First, do you know what this is?" inquired Sykes, taking up a pocket pistol which lay on the table. Oliver replied in the affirmative. "Well, then, look here," continued Sykes. "This is powder. That is a bullet, and that little bit of those hands for wadding." Oliver murmured his comprehension of the different bodies referred to, and Mr. Sykes proceeded to load the pistol with great nicety and deliberation. At the time, they had one shot at a time, and most people preferred to use a rifle to a pistol because with a pistol, you still have to go through the whole process of pour in your powder, put the bullet in there, or pour in some more powder, tap it all in there real nice, and then pull everything out. And then your gun is now loaded after like 15 seconds of working on it, and hopefully you loaded it right so that way the little ball that you put in there shoots out okay. Uh, so at least if you have a musket, it's got a longer barrel and more accuracy. Back in the day, uh, Of course, it's always been exceptionally hard for people in England to get their hands on weapons because only lords are allowed to have weapons like that in England. Um, so Oliver replied in the affirmative. Where you keys? Yeah, never mind. Oliver murmured his comprehension of the different bodies referred to, and Mr. Sykes proceeded to load the pistol with great nicety and deliberation. Now he's loaded, said Mr. Sykes when he finished. Yes, I see it is, sir, replied Oliver. Well, said the robber, grabbing Oliver's wrist tightly and putting the barrel so close to his temple that they touched, at which moment the boy could not repress a stare. If you speak a word when you're outdoors with me, except when I speak to you, that loading will be in your head without notice. So do make up your mind to speak without saying your prayers first. I hate Mr. Sykes. Having bestowed a scowl upon the object of this warning to increase its effect, Mr. Sykes continued. As near as I know, there isn't anybody as would be asking very particular to you. Have you was disposed of, so I needn't take this devil in order of trouble to explain matters to you. If it weren't for your own good, you hear me? The short and long of what you mean. Or, wrong character. The short and long of what you mean, said Nancy, speaking very empathetically and slightly frowning at Oliver as if to bespec his serious attention to her words. Is that you'll cross by him in this job you'll have on hand? You'll prevent his ever telling tales afterwards by shooting him through the head. And we'll take your chance at swinging for it, as you do for a great many other things in the way of business every month of your life. Fishy, fishy. Yes, I can actually see your typing now, so please ask away. Uh, I'll even type it in here now that the chat is working. But do 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 do. Oh. That's it, observed Mr. Sykes approvingly. Women can always put fingers in the fewest words, except when it's blowing up, then they lengthens it out. Now that he's thoroughly up to it, let's have some supper and get a snooze before starting. In pursuance of this request, Nancy quickly laid his cloth and, disappearing for a few minutes, presently returned with a pot of porter and a dish of sheep heads, which gave occasion to several pleasant witticisms on the part of Mr. Sykes, founded upon the singular coincidence of Jemmy's being a cant name common to them, and also ingenious implement much used in his profession. Indeed, the worthy gentleman, stimulated perhaps by the immediate prospect of being active service, was in great spirits and good humour, in proof whereof it may be remarked that he humorously drank all the beer at a draught, and did not utter, on a rough calculation, more than 80 oaths during the whole progress of the meal. That's 80. I don't know why he didn't just say 80, but whatever. 19th century. Um, Supper being ended, it may be easily conceived that Oliver had no great appetite for it. Mr. Sykes disposed of a couple glasses of spirits and water, and threw himself upon the bed, ordering Nancy, with many imprecations in case of failure, to call him at 5 precisely. Oliver stretched himself on his clothes, by command of the same authority, on a mattress upon the floor, and the girl minding the fire sat before it in readiness to rouse them at the appointed time. For a long time Oliver lay awake, thinking it was not possible that Nancy might seek the opportunity of whispering some further advice, but the girl sat brooding over the fire, without moving, save now and then, to trim a light. Weary and watching in anxiety, he at length fell asleep. What grade are you in? Fishy, we've been over this. I have an associate's degree. I'm an adult. uh, but yeah, no, I definitely appreciate that people think I'm young because it's definitely like I'm at that point where I'm starting to feel old sometimes. Well, no, I'm like only a couple of years younger than DWC, and the same age as Against the World G. And Against the World actually has a couple kids of his own at this point, so I'm just slacking, I guess. But when he awoke, the table was covered with tea things, and Sikes was thrusting various articles into his pockets of his greatcoat, which hung over the back of a chair, while Nancy was busily engaged in preparing breakfast. It was not yet daylight, for the candle was still burning, and it was quite dark outside. The sharp rain, too. The sharp rain, too, was beating against the window panes, and the sky looked black and cloudy. "Now then," growled Sikes as Oliver started up. "5:30. Look sharp or you'll get no breakfast, for it's late as it is." Oliver was not long in making his toilet, and having taken some breakfast, a surly inquiry from Sikes by saying that he was quite ready. Oh boy. Nancy, scarcely looking at the boy, threw him a handkerchief to tie around his throat, when Sikes gave him a large enough cape to button over his shoulders. Thus attired, he gave his hand to the robber, who, merely pausing to shew him with a menacing gesture that he had a pistol in a side pocket of his great-coat, clasped it firmly in his, exchanging a farewell with Nancy, led him away. Oliver turned for an instant when they reached the door, in the hope of meeting a look from the girl, but when she resumed her old seat in front of the fire, they sat perfectly motionless before it. So this is chapter 21, The Expedition. Uh, well, your opinion. Do we keep this moving, or do I just call it quits for the evening because my computer already crashed once tonight? Um, Looking for votes. First vote wins it. Keep reading till my computer crashes again. Call it a night at chapter 21. I guess we're going to go ahead and call it a night. So, next time we will pick up tomorrow with chapter 21, The Expedition. It's been a lot of fun aside from that really random hiccup where my everything just collapsed on me right halfway into that chapter. But I definitely will be back tomorrow to try again. So when there are any complaints or questions or concerns, just address them to me. Personally, I've just been doing Fagin in I guess, the Mel Brooks voice for a while, just because I feel like that's about the closest that I can make for a character whose very existence is a joke. Because I do not think Charles Dickens really thought very fondly of Jewish folks. But it's okay because I'm Jewish and I'm doing all right. So happy Passover, everybody. Happy Good Friday. Thank you so much for coming out. Uh, I definitely encourage you to like, share, and subscribe, as well as to check out Against the World G and Don't Watch Continue. Um, thank you so much for coming out, everybody. One love.